Welcome to Kindness in Real Life. In the icy heart of Glacier National Park, Montana, a chilling wind carries the echoes of a tragedy that gripped a nation 3 weeks ago. Tech millionaire Daniel Whitaker and his twin daughters, Ivy and Wren, vanished on a routine hike, their footsteps swallowed by snow-covered trails, presumed lost to the mountain's wrath. Their disappearance left a void until a hidden truth began to unravel. In a rustic lodge at the mountain's edge, Ellie Whitaker, Daniel's ex-wife and the girl's mother, stands undaunted, her worn parka flecked with snow, face carved with resolve. Gaze locked on missing person flyers, a retired park ranger. Ellie's heart beats with a mother's fierce love, her expression unyielding, looking at the vibrant images of her family. Ivy in her bright yellow jacket, Wren in purple, Daniel in his signature green hoodie, while Daniel's new wife, Rachel, remains at home. A shadow lingers over her absence. Ellie's instincts, sharpened by years in these wilds, sense a darker force at play. Her face tightens, gazing at the storm-swept peaks, unaware that a wildlife camera, tucked deep in the forest, captured Ivy and Wren just days ago. Alone, as Ellie pins another flyer, her expression defiant. A hunter's hesitant words will spark a journey on kindness in real life, one of greed, murder, and a mother's relentless fight to reclaim her daughters from a web of deceit spun by Rachel's deadly ambition. 3 weeks had passed since her ex-husband, Daniel Whitaker, a tech millionaire, and their twin daughters, Ivy and Wren, vanished on a hike. The world had moved on, whispering of tragedy, but Ellie's heart refused to surrender, her expression fierce, looking at the printed faces of her family. Daniel in his green hoodie, Ivy in a bright yellow jacket, Wren in purple. The lodge buzzed softly with hikers and staff, their voices a distant hum against the crackle of a stone fireplace. Ellie's parka rustled as she moved to a bulletin board, her face heavy with grief, gaze tracing the faded posters she'd pinned weeks ago. Her years as a park ranger had taught her these mountains' secrets, how they could swallow the careless, but also how to find what was lost. Her expression hardened, looking at a new flyer, its vibrant colors a defiant cry against the park's indifference. Daniel's new wife, Rachel, had stayed home, her absence a gnawing question in Ellie's mind, her face tightening, gaze drifting to the snow-swept windows. She pinned a flyer to the board, her movements deliberate, when a familiar voice broke her focus. Ellie Whitaker, a lodge clerk, his sweater snug against the chill, leaned over the counter, face warm with recognition. Looking at her, "Didn't expect you back so soon." Ellie's face softened briefly, turning to him, expression weary, gaze meeting his. "Tom," she said, voice steady, just replacing the posters. Tom's face nodded, his smile fading, looking at the flyers. "Anything new on Daniel and the girls?" Her face stiffened, shaking her head, expression guarded, looking back at the board. "Not yet. That's why I'm here." The clerk's face softened, stepping closer, gaze on the posters. "Manager says you can post as many as you need. Anything else?" "Just ask." Ellie's face managed a faint nod, her parka shifting as she turned, expression grateful, looking at him. "Thank you, Tom." She moved through the lodge, pinning flyers near entrances and trail maps, her face resolute, gaze sweeping the faces of passing hikers, searching for a spark of recognition. Each poster was a prayer, Ivy's gap-toothed grin, Wren's shy smile, Daniel's steady eyes, her expression aching, looking at their images, memories of their last call flooding back. "Mom, come hike with us." Daniel had teased, but a charity event had kept her away, her face crumpling, gaze dropping to her boots. Outside, the wind roared, snow swirling against the lodge's wooden walls. Ellie stepped onto the main trailhead, her parka zipped tight, face braced against the cold, gaze scanning the path. She secured flyers to trail markers, her fingers steady despite the chill, expression unyielding. Looking up at the clouded peaks, hikers passed, their faces sympathetic, offering mumbled hopes, but none had seen her family. Her face sagged, looking at a flyer flapping in the wind, the weight of 3 weeks pressing down. A rustle in the trees snapped her attention. A man emerged, his camouflage jacket flecked with snow, orange safety vest bright against the dusk, face weathered and conflicted, gaze hesitating as he approached. "Excuse me," he called, breath clouding in the cold, looking at Ellie. "Can I take one of those flyers?" Ellie's face sharpened, studying him, expression cautious, gaze on his gloved hand. "Of course," she said, handing him a poster, her voice low. "I'm Ellie Whitaker." The man's face flickered with recognition, taking the flyer, gaze dropping to it. "Cal Jennings," he said, voice gruff. "Hunter, been in these mountains 30 years. His expression tightened, looking at the images, fingers pausing over Ivy and Wren. Ellie's face leaned closer, her parka brushing the snow, expression probing, gaze locked on his. "You've seen something," she said, not a question. Cal's face wavered, his hand reaching for a small device, expression grim, looking at her. "I checked trail cameras for games," he said, voice low. "Might be worth a look." Her face surged with hope, breath catching, gaze on the device. "Show me," she said, voice urgent. Cal's face hesitated, scrolling through the screen, expression darkening, looking at the footage. "Here," he said, turning it toward her, gaze avoiding hers. The grainy video stole Ellie's breath. Ivy and Wren, their jackets unmistakable yellow and purple, moved cautiously through misty underbrush, alone, 3 days ago. Her face froze, tears pricking, expression overwhelmed, looking at her daughters. "Alive, that's them," she whispered, voice breaking. "My girls." Cal's face nodded, pocketing the device, expression heavy, looking at the trail, cameras 8 miles north. Deep in rough terrain, unmarked ravines, avalanche risk. Ellie's face burned with purpose, gaze lifting to the mountains. Her parka taut. "Why weren't they with Daniel?" she asked, voice sharp. Cal's face stiffened, shrugging, expression guarded, looking away. Could have been out of frame. Footage only catches what's in front. Her face narrowed, suspicion stirring, gaze piercing him, but she nodded, expression resolute. "I need that footage sent to me," she said, voice firm. "And your number?" Cal's face complied, scribbling on a flyer, gaze fleeting, handing it over. "I'll email it," he said, expression strained. "Call if you need me." "I know that area." Ellie's face clutched the flyer, her heart racing, gaze on his retreating figure, the weight of his hesitation lingering. She hurried to the lodge, her parka shedding snow, face alight with purpose, dialing Detective Marshall. Her expression steadied, looking at the phone, voice urgent. "It's Ellie Whitaker. I have video of Ivy and Wren, alive, 3 days ago. Northern section." Marshall's voice crackled, his face unseen but cautious. "Send it over." "But Ellie, it's nearly dark, and a storm's coming. We can't search tonight, too dangerous." Her face clenched, pacing the lodge, expression frustrated, gaze on the darkening windows. "They're out there now," she snapped, voice rising. Marshall's voice softened, firm. "First light. We'll move. Be at the ranger station. 6A. Ellie's face sagged, hanging up, expression torn, looking at the footage on her phone. Ivy and Wren's small figures a lifeline. She sank into a chair, her parka loose, face heavy, gaze tracing their faces. Daniel's absence gnawed. Why wasn't he with them? Rachel's silence at home felt wrong, her expression darkening. Looking at the storm outside, her ranger instinct screamed. Answers lay in that northern terrain. She rose, her face resolute, slipping to her cabin, expression fierce, gaze on her gear, thermal layers, GPS, survival tools she packed with precision, leaving a note for Tom. Gone north, following lead. Back by dawn, her parka zipped, face unyielding. She stepped into the snow, headlamp off to avoid notice, gaze on the trailhead. The storm roared, but her daughters were out there, and no mountain would stop her. If Ellie's courage to face the storm for her daughters moved you, hit that like button to support kindness in real life. Snow roared through Glacier National Park, Montana, a blinding curtain that buried trails and lashed at Ellie Whitaker's thermal parka as she forged northward. The storm's howl swallowed all sound, her headlamp slicing a thin beam through the darkness. Her ranger pack, heavy with GPS and survival gear, thumped against her back. The coordinates from Cal Jennings' wildlife camera guiding her to a cabin 8 miles away. There, 3 days ago, her daughters, Ivy and Wren, had appeared alone in their yellow and purple jackets, without their father, Daniel. Ellie's parka clung to her shoulders, her boots crunching through deep powder, driven by a mother's desperation and a growing distrust of Rachel, Daniel's new wife, safe at home. The trail had vanished under fresh snow, forcing Ellie to rely on ranger instincts honed over decades. Her parka's hood shielded her from the wind, her gloved hand checking the GPS, its screen flickering in the cold. Ivy and Wren's images from the footage burned in her mind, Daniel's absence a jagged question, Rachel's silence gnawed. Her refusal to join the search, a puzzle Ellie couldn't yet solve. She pushed forward, branches snagging her pack, the storm testing her endurance. Hours bled into the night, the temperature plummeting, her breath clouded in the freezing air, boots sinking deeper with each step. The GPS showed 2 miles left when a faint glow pierced the trees, a beacon in the blizzard. A cabin, nestled among pines, its chimney trailing smoke, stood defiant against the storm. Ellie quickened her pace, her parka brushing snow-laden branches, heart pounding with hope. The cabin's wooden walls loomed, sturdy and weathered, its single window casting a warm light. Ellie knocked, her gloved fist heavy, voice hoarse as she called, "Ivy, Rent." No response. She pounded again, the smoke from the chimney proof of life inside. Her hand twisted the knob unlocked, and the door creaked open, revealing a dimly lit interior thick with wood smoke. Ellie stepped inside, her parka shedding snow, the warmth of a wood stove washing over her. A single bed sat in the corner, a leather sofa nearby, shelves lined with canned goods, dried meat, and milk boxes. Her breath caught Ivy and Wren lay curled under a thick blanket, their yellow and purple jackets draped over a chair, their small forms unmistakable. Tears stung her eyes as she rushed to them, kneeling, her parka pooling on the floor, gently shaking their shoulders. "Girls," she whispered, voice breaking. Ivy stirred, blinking up in her worn sweater, voice tiny. "Mom." Reenan woke, her sweatshirt rumpled, clutching Ellie's arm. "You're really here," she breathed. Eyes wide, Ellie pulled them into her arms, her parka rustling, holding them tight. Their warmth a miracle after 3 weeks of despair. "I found you," she choked, burying her face in their hair. "I'm never letting go." Ivy clung to her, her sweater soft, voice quivering. "Dad told us to stay, keep the fire going. He went for help, but he didn't come back." Ellie stroked their hair, her parka loose, the weight of Daniel's absence sinking in. "When was this?" she asked, voice steady. Wren twisted the blanket, her sweatshirt sleeve frayed, voice low. "After the storm hit. He left food, said to wait." Ellie nodded, her hand brushing the girls' jackets, noting the cabin's supplies cans, fresh milk, too new for an abandoned retreat. Suspicions stirred as she scanned the room, her parka shifting. A loose floorboard near the sofa caught her boot, a metallic glint flashing beneath. She pried it up, her gloved fingers steady, revealing a wedding ring, Daniel's, its diamond inlay pristine, as if recently hidden. Her breath hitched, pocketing the ring, Rachel's shadow darkening her thoughts. Ivy watched, her sweater bunched, voice small. "Is that Dad's?" Ellie forced a nod, her parka taut, keeping her tone calm. "Yes, sweetheart. We'll sort it out." A faint hiss broke the silence, a chemical stench seeping into the air. Ellie's head snapped toward the stove, where a hidden valve leaked gas, its acrid scent growing. Her ranger training kicked in, her parka zipping up as she grabbed the girls' jackets. "We need to move now," she said, voice sharp, tossing Ivy her yellow jacket and Wren her purple one. Wren scrambled up, her sweatshirt catching on the blanket, but her leg buckled, a cry escaping as she clutched her ankle, swollen and bruised from a fall. Ellie knelt, her parka brushing the floor, assessing the injury sprained. "Maybe broken. I've got you," she said, lifting Wren, her pack straining against her back. Ivy pulled on her jacket, her movements frantic, staying close. A spark from the stove's embers caught the gas. A soft whoosh, igniting flames that licked the wooden floor. Ellie sprinted for the door, Wren in her arms, Ivy at her heels, her parka flapping. The door was bolted from outside, a trap meant to erase evidence. Not her. She set Wren down, grabbing a firewood log, her parka tearing as she swung at the nearest window. The glass cracked, then shattered on the second blow. Snow gusting through the jagged frame. Flames surged, the gas fueling a ravenous blaze that clawed toward the shelves. Ellie lifted Wren through the window, her parka snagging on glass, guiding Ivy out next. She climbed through, shards cutting her hands, landing heavily in the snow, her pack thudding beside her. The cabin erupted, flames swallowing the walls, a roar of heat and light against the storm's cold. Wren whimpered, her purple jacket soaked. Ankle useless as she shivered, Ivy clung to Ellie, her yellow jacket dusted with snow, small hands gripping her mother's arm. Ellie wrapped her parka around Wren, lifting her again, the cold biting through her thermal layers. "We're okay," she said, voice firm, orienting by the North Star. The lodge somewhere west. The ring weighed heavy in her pocket, a silent accusation against Rachel. Daniel hadn't died in a storm. Someone had ensured he'd never return. Ellie pushed through the snow, Wren in her arms, Ivy beside her, her boots carving a path. The storm easing, but the wilderness unforgiving. Her ranger strength held, a mother's vow to protect her daughters, burning brighter than the cabin's flames. The snowstorm had weakened, its roar now a whisper, but Glacier National Park's cold clung to Ellie Whitaker like a second skin. Her thermal parka, torn from the cabin's shattered window, flapped as she carried Wren, her daughter's purple jacket soaked and heavy, the girl's sprained ankle limp against her chest. Ivy trudged beside her, yellow jacket dusted with snow, small hand gripping Ellie's pack strap. The North Star guided them west toward the lodge, Daniel's wedding ring a heavy weight in Ellie's pocket, each step fueling her suspicion of Rachel, safe at home while her family burned. Her boots sank into deep powder, her ranger strength tested, the memory of the cabin's flames searing her thoughts. Wren shivered, her sweatshirt damp, a soft whimper escaping as her ankle jostled. Ellie tightened her grip, her parka straining, the cuts on her hands stinging beneath torn gloves. Ivy's steps faltered, her jacket catching on a branch, but she pressed on, silent resilience mirroring her mother's. The forest was a maze of pines and shadows, the trail barely discernible under fresh snow. Ellie's GPS was gone, lost in the fire, but decades of ranger instinct mapped the terrain in her mind. Her pack's weight a familiar anchor as she navigated gentler slopes to spare Wren's pain. Hours stretched, the sky lightening with dawn's first hints. Ellie's breath clouded, her thermal layers sodden but warm enough to keep hypothermia at bay. A familiar ridge appeared, a marker near the maintained trails, and her heart lifted, though exhaustion clawed at her limbs. Ivy's yellow jacket bobbed ahead, scouting a clearer path, her small frame unbowed by the cold. Wren stirred, her purple jacket bunched, voice faint. "Are we close, Mom?" Ellie shifted her daughter's weight, her parka rustling, voice steady. "Almost there. Sweetheart," she said, spotting trail markers through the trees. "Just hold on." The lodge's outer cabins emerged, their roofs blanketed in snow, lamplight glowing in the pre-dawn chill. Ellie's boots hit firmer ground, her pack thudding as she called out, "Help. We need help." Her voice echoed, raw and urgent, drawing heads from early risers. A staff member in a red fleece dropped his gear, sprinting toward them, followed by hikers in puffy coats, their shouts overlapping. Ellie sank to her knees, her parka pooling, still cradling Wren's. Ivy clinging to her side, the staff member knelt, his fleece bright, assessing Wren's ankle, swollen beneath her sweatshirt's hem. "We've got a medic," he said, voice calm. "Hang on." Another worker, her vest emblazoned with the lodge logo, radioed for help, her voice sharp. "Medical team to the courtyard. Now. Child injured." Ellie's torn gloves clutched Wren, her pack discarded as a medic arrived, his green jacket marked with a cross, carrying a first aid kit. He examined Wren's ankle, His hands gentle, voice professional. Sprain. Possibly a fracture. We need to stabilize it and get her to a hospital. Ellie nodded, her parka loose, helping lift Ren onto a stretcher. Ivy's yellow jacket pressed against her. I'm staying with them, she said, voice firm. The medic's jacket rustled, securing Ren's leg with a splint, his tone reassuring. We'll chopper you out. Fastest way. As the medic worked, Ellie pulled her phone from her parka, its battery low but alive. Dialing Detective Marshall, her voice cut through the chaos. Urgent. It's Ellie Whitaker. I found Ivy and Ren in a cabin, northern section. There was a trap gas, fire. I have Daniel's wedding ring, hidden under a floorboard. Marshall's voice crackled, steady but tense. You're safe. Send the footage and get to the lodge. We're mobilizing. Ellie's parka shifted, her fingers trembling as she forwarded Cal's video, the ring burning in her pocket. Rachel's absence screaming betrayal. The medic guided them to the lodge's foyer, its fireplace roaring, warmth flooding their chilled bodies. Ivy sat close, her yellow jacket unzipped, hands wrapped around a mug of cocoa. Ren lay on the stretcher, her purple jacket draped over her, the medic adjusting her splint. A crowd gathered, their coats a patchwork of colors, whispers rippling Ellie Whitaker. The missing girls. Tom, the lodge clerk, approached, his sweater snug, voice soft. You did it, Ellie. They're safe. Ellie's parka hung open, her voice low, handing him the ring. Not all of them, she said. Daniel's fate a wound unspoken. Sirens wailed, heralding a medical chopper's approach. The medic in the green jacket signaled, his voice clear. Transport's here, let's move. Ellie lifted Ivy, her pack left behind, following the stretcher, Ren's sweatshirt peeking from under a blanket. Chopper's blades thrummed, its red and white frame stark against the snow, and they boarded, Ellie's parka brushing the door. As they lifted off, the mountains fell away, her thoughts on Rachel, the ring, a silent accusation. At the hospital, nurses in blue scrubs whisked Ren to radiology, her stretcher gliding down a sterile hall. Ivy clung to Ellie's parka, her yellow jacket crumpled, voice small. Will Ren be okay? Ellie knelt, her gloves discarded, voice gentle. The doctors are fixing her leg. She'll be fine. I promise. A doctor in a white coat approached, tablet in hand, voice calm. X-rays show a clean tibia fracture. We'll need surgery to set it, but she's stable. Ellie's parka sagged, her hand signing consent forms. Rachel's absence a legal shadow. Do it, she said, voice firm. I want to see her first. The doctor led her to Ren's, her sweatshirt replaced by a gown, IV in her arm. Ren's voice was brave, faint. They said my leg will get a cast. Ellie smoothed her hair, her parka off, voice warm. You'll be good as new. Sweetheart, she said, kissing her forehead. As Ren was wheeled to surgery, Ellie returned to the hall, Ivy at her side, her yellow jacket dragging. A familiar figure stood waiting Cal Jennings, his camouflage jacket creased, hands fidgeting with a hospital visitor pass. Ellie's suspicion flared, her parka slung over her arm, voice sharp. What are you doing here? Cal's jacket shifted, his voice low, urgent. I need to talk, Ellie. To you and the police. It's about Rachel. A police officer in a Navy uniform approached, notebook ready, voice formal. Miss Whitaker, we need to discuss the cabins. Ellie nodded, her shirt damp with sweat, leading them to a consultation room. Ivy sitting close, her jacket folded. Cal's jacket rustled as he sat, his voice heavy. 3 weeks ago, Rachel paid a man to kill Daniel in that northern section. She told me to keep the girls hidden in my cabin, said it'd look like an accident. Ellie's breath caught, her shirt tightening. Rachel's betrayal confirmed. Why help her? She demanded, voice raw. Cal's jacket slumped, his voice broken. She offered money $500,000 from Daniel's insurance. I brought food, kept quiet. But the girl's grief, your posters, it ate at me. I couldn't let her frame me. The officer's uniform shifted, his voice firm. You're admitting to accessory after the fact. Cal nodded, his jacket still, voice resigned. I'll take what's coming. But Rachel's at the hospital, spinning lies about Ellie. Ellie's shirt clung to her back, her voice cold. She killed my husband, abandoned my daughters, and tried to burn the truth. The officer scribbled, his uniform crisp, voice steady. We've got bank records transfers to a known hitman. With your testimony, Mr. Jennings, we're arresting her. Ellie clutched Ivy, her yellow jacket soft. Daniel's ring a vow for justice. Rachel's web was unraveling. But the girl's healing was her true fight. Ellie's courage saved her daughters, but Rachel's betrayal shakes us all. On Kindness in Real Life, we share stories of love triumphing over darkness. And we want to hear from you. What moved you most, Ellie's relentless search, the girl's resilience, or Cal's redemption? Drop a comment below to share your thoughts and join our community of hope. Your voices fuel these tales of kindness and justice. So let's keep the conversation alive. Comment now and stay tuned for the next chapter.